Was the bet sphere introduced? How did they show you?
The ball was on a coffee table, glass top coffee table in a foyer, much like this, a little bit larger, but it was windows all the way around, almost like an atrium. And I said, can I pick it up? And Jerry said, oh, sure. So I picked it up, and it was heavier than I anticipated it to be.
About 20 pounds, right?
That's what they said, yeah, about 20 pounds. The ball had a much rougher texture to it than I anticipated. And if you moved it, you could hear a very faint tinkling inside it. It wasn't a hum or a buzz. It was that tink, tink, tink. Terry had the ball in his room, and he began to notice that even when the ball wasn't moving, he could hear this tinkling sound.
Well, it would suggest it was conscious or was downloading, uploading information from something that it was involved with.
Well, the consciousness of it, I decided I wanted to take the ball outside and get some pictures with natural light. The ball was back on the table. So we all get up to leave to go find a spot to shoot it in. And the ball rolled all the way to the edge and stopped. And it was just like, don't forget me. That's when the hair stood up on my arms.
After observing the strange behavior of the sphere for several weeks, the Betts family decided to submit it to the military for examination.
It got interest from the Navy, it got interest from the United States government, and during the testing of it, they found it was made of a stainless steel metallic alloy, specifically the ferrous alloy number 431. And then when it was analyzed with X-ray spectrography, the interior of the sphere was hollow and had smaller spherical objects which were analyzed to have an atomic weight of 140. Now, the largest atomic weight that we see in nature is uranium, which is a 92. So these smaller, super heavy balls that were inside with an atomic weight of 140 caused certain scientists to speculate that if anyone actually tried to drill inside the sphere, that it could be the equivalent of a thermonuclear weapon, that those elements could go into criticality and create a massive explosion. So the point is, this sphere has very peculiar properties that suggest that it is, in fact, some sort of artificially intelligent technology.
Do you think that it is a viable hypothesis that at least the Navy, from the work that they did, knew this is not terrestrial?
Oh, absolutely.
And it was after the Navy examination,
Right.
that everything seemed to basically come to a halt.
Correct. I never got a real clarification on what happened, But now the ball has disappeared.
Is it possible the Navy discovered evidence that the Betts sphere is of extraterrestrial origin and secretly confiscated it for further examination?
Jerry and her family are not interested in talking about the sphere anymore. They just don't want to discuss what happened with it. Maybe nobody will ever see it again. That's a possibility, I don't know.
To date, no one has been able to locate the sphere or explain what it was. But perhaps further clues may be found by returning to the very site where the mysterious Betts sphere was first discovered.
Let your perfect drive come together during the final days of the Lincoln Summer Invitation event. Get 0% APR on select 2018 Lincoln models plus $1,000 bonus cash.
We know about that trail that never ends. We know the great outdoors. We love the great outdoors. Bass Pro Shops in Cabela's, where incredible selection great people, and memorable experiences all come together. Come in today for great Labor Day deals, like ladies' V-neck tees starting at under $13. This Bass Pro 6.5 quart fish fryer for under $30. And these Merrill waterproof hikers for under $90.
I'm Chris, and I lost 120 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Introducing Nutrisystem for Men. For a limited time, save 40% off every program.
It's so simple. You eat the food, you lose the weight.
Lose up to 18 pounds and 8 inches overall your first month. Lose weight fast. Money back guaranteed.
I lost 10 pounds my first week.
I lost 20 pounds the first month.
I lost 105 pounds eating pizza, ice cream, burgers.
It's not that hard. You eat the food,
And you lose the weight. Order now and save 40% off every program. Plus, get 1 week of all new NutriPro shakes, packed with 20 grams of protein to help shrink your gut. Free.
I love the food. The meals are so satisfying.
the food is perfect for guys like me who don't like to cook.
It's not that hard, buddy.
You eat the food, you lose the weight.
You eat the food, you lose the weight. That's what guys want. Keeping it simple.
Go online or call 888-511-TRIM and get free shakes plus save 40% off every program.
Sam Adams Oktoberfest is back. Sweet, malty, and delicious. It's everything you love about fall in one sip. Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Get it while it's here.
Sponsored locally by Frost, where a change of perspective changes everything. Opt for optimism.
Today I'm sharing Golden Chick with the world. Something brand new on the menu, Chipotle Buffalo Tenders. We've taken our Golden Tenders and we've made them all new.
It's out of this world. I love it.
Bold and spicy. Are you bold and spicy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not too hot, though. It's
Not
perfect.
too hot.
Got a lot of flavor.
This is 100% tenderloin. There's no mystery meat there. What about you?
Wow.
Wow, that's a good word.
I like it. Spicy.
Spicy. Can you handle it?
A little bit.
One taste and you're golden.
Golden Chick.
I'm gonna have to write you a check from our advertising department.
Back to business.
That's what I like to see on a knife. I'm going to be swinging around.
If you can't swing the knife, it doesn't matter how good the egg is.
Boom, baby. It's got a lot of swinging power behind it, but there's a lot that could go wrong.
Swing it like you mean it. I know no other way. Man, it was fun to swing.
Talking with Beth's family, you thought you're dealing with really honest people who are very puzzled about what this sphere is.
When I first talked to them, I was convinced that all of them were telling me the truth.
Fort George Island, Florida, February 3rd, 2017. Investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe is traveling with reporter Ron Kivett to the site where a mysterious metal sphere that displayed the uncanny ability to move on its own was first discovered in 1974 by the Betts family following a wildfire on their property.
This would have been an area where the fire would have been.
We're getting closer.
Now this is the kind of woods they would have found it in. But all of this here, you can see where the palmettos,
Yeah.
it's thick, it's hard to go through. Now,
In fact, it's almost amazing. Without the fire,
without the fire, they
they would
probably
never
would
have
seen
found it. Gosh. So there's the mystery of what caused the fire,
Right.
how long it had been there, and
Was it intended to be found?
wow.
Skeptics of the Betts sphere story claim it was part of a sculpture that fell from an artist's truck.
So this is what it would have all looked like before the fire.
But Ron Kivett says this is impossible, since the sphere was discovered in the middle of a densely forested area, 20 miles from any stretch of main highway.
You know, now that I'm here where the Betts family found that sphere, it's just so clear that any of the stories about an artist over on the road having something falling off a truck and rolling through all of this thick palmetto.
It's impossible.
Impossible. And the whole idea that they would never have found it if there had not been a fire.
The fire was integral to finding the ball.
What do you think, talking with Terry and Jerry?
I know they found it. I know how they found it. They knew right away, after that first incident or so, that they had something special. If it was a hoax, somebody put it there. If it was not a hoax, somebody put it there.
Or something.
Or something.
If this mysterious sphere was of extraterrestrial origin, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest, might it have been intentionally placed on the Betts property, and even have started the fire that resulted in its discovery? Throughout history, similar spheres have appeared in artwork that dates back hundreds of years and are often depicted as coming from the heavens.
In Christian art, you'll see these incredible examples of angels holding bowling ball-sized spheres in their hands. In other examples, Jesus himself holds a metallic sphere. God is portrayed holding a sphere. So when you go back to the Betts family and compare it with what we know about these spheres in Christian mythology, you have to ask, are we dealing with something of ancient origin or possibly of extraterrestrial origin?
Where is that sphere today? My wager, one of our government agencies has this Betts sphere. And our government has probably learned a great deal about a sphere that has self-activating software and maybe has been sending and receiving the whole time.
The concept of a self-activating metal sphere with the ability to communicate is not as far-fetched as it may sound. In fact, science is on the verge of discovering a similar technology today. Beijing, China, March 2015. Here, at Tsinghua University, scientists announced the creation of a self-fueled robot in the form of a small liquid metal sphere that is capable of shape-shifting.
When energy is applied from the outside externally, the metal would change shape. But they also noticed that it could also produce its own power supply for about an hour. And because of this action, it would move too. Then, of course, most people are considering using it in the field of robotics. Just imagine where that can go.
We're seeing the first steps that we are making towards having these types of exotic alloys that could, in the future, give us the ability to emulate the type of extraterrestrial technology that we already see in out-of-place artifacts.
In addition to creating shape-shifting robots, this new technology may be used by doctors to make repairs inside the body without performing surgery. It could also lead to fully flexible electronics, as well as major advances in artificial intelligence. Some ancient astronaut theorists propose that it was a similar technology that powered the Betts sphere.
This is a possible explanation for what could be going on with the super heavy balls inside the Betts sphere. They may be using some sort of similar technology in order to roll themselves around inside, which then allows the ball to be able to roll around much like a self-propelled bowling ball. So with these new discoveries, we now have a plausible explanation for how the Betts sphere was able to roll around.
As modern scientists develop new alloys, we have to wonder if these artifacts, like the Betts sphere, they are perhaps there for us to examine and retro-engineer and use and create for ourselves and our own space industry.
Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that objects like the Betts sphere have been purposely left behind by extraterrestrials for thousands of years in order to help in the development of mankind's technological evolution. As further proof, they point to mysterious metal ingots recently recovered from a shipwreck off the coast of Sicily that are unlike any other metal known to exist on Earth.
More questions, new answers.
Now let's go where no people are allowed.
Inside the Great Pyramid.
This is insane.
In Sardinia, you have structures that are incredible.
These things may well have been extraterrestrials.
Hey, an idea.
On 9/11, every aircraft was a potential missile.
This movie here? I'm going to see a movie.
Building 1 came down on top of us. They knew the danger and chose to ignore it during the glimmer of hope that we were going to survive this.
Scenes that shaped America. 9/11, Monday, September 10th at 9 on History.
When you're America's best value, you don't need a whole lot of hoopla. What you need is a 10-year one.
This is a commercial about insurance. Now, I know you're thinking, I don't want to hear about insurance. Because let's be honest, nobody likes dealing with insurance, right? Which is why Esurance hired me, Dennis Quaid, as their spokesperson, because apparently I'm highly likable.
I like Dennis Quaid.
Aw, and they want me to let you know that cue over dramatic music. They're on a mission to make insurance painless.
Excuse me. Did you drop this?
They know it's confusing.
I really have no idea what I'm getting next, Quaid.
That's why they're making it simple.
What's Chris
And
trying
a
to get
cafe.
into now?
And they know it's expensive. Yeah. So they're making it affordable. Thank you. You're welcome. That's a problem. Now, you might not believe any of this, since this is a television commercial. But that's where they're being so transparent. Anyways, this is the end of the commercial, where I walk off into a very dramatic sunset to reveal the new Esurance tagline, so that you'll remember it. Esurance. It's surprisingly painless.
You're not busy, are you?
Drug dealers, corrupt judges.
Justice.
Do I have your attention?
Peppermint, rated R.
It's time for the biggest sale of the year on the new Sleep Number 360 smart bed. It senses your movement and automatically adjusts to keep you both comfortable. And now all beds are on sale. It's the last chance to save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed. Ends Labor Day.
Fox Nation. Find out more at foxnation.com now.
It's Spectrum's Best Deal Days, and we're kicking it off with Spectrum Internet for $29.99 a month and Spectrum Voice for $19.99 a month. Call 844-578-1999. You already have the best TV service with Spectrum TV. Now add Spectrum Internet with the fastest starting speeds, 100 megabits per second, and enough bandwidth to keep everyone's devices connected with no data caps, plus a free modem. But wait, there's more when you call 844-578-1999. Spectrum Voice with unlimited nationwide calling in the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and more with no additional taxes and fees. Includes tons of free features for $19.99 a month. No contracts and a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's Spectrum's Best Deal Days. Get Spectrum Internet for $29.99 a month and Spectrum Voice for $19.99 a month. Call 844-578-1999.
Love that little puppy. Here's the tiniest squeak out of it.
Back to the news. The Trump administration cutting funds to the United Nations agency that helps Palestinian refugees. The move ends decades of U.S. support. State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert says the U.S. will no longer pay a disproportionate share of the agency's costs. She also calls it an irredeemably flawed operation. No comment so far from the UN. A growing number of people whose official birth records show they were born in the U.S. are reportedly being denied passports and unable to get into the country. Correspondent Casey Stiegel takes a look.
Immigration lawyers across South Texas say they've recently become overwhelmed with a spike in cases of American citizens who've either been denied U.S. passports or had their valid ones revoked.
Who are we really protecting? Are we protecting the American citizens? Because in this case, we're actually deporting the American citizens.
The ACLU says it's hearing from a variety of South Texans, especially in border communities. People who are U.S. citizens with U.S. birth certificates who are stuck in Mexico Mexico because their passports were taken while trying to re-enter the country, or claims that some are even being held at immigrant detention centers until their birth records are verified.
But now they're seeing the administration actually fighting these cases and taking them to trial. That's a huge issue.
The U.S. State Department is pushing back on those claims, and the Washington Post's first reporting of the story. In a statement, Heather Nauert, spokesperson for the department, says, quote, "This is an irresponsible attempt to create division and stoke fear among American citizens while attempting to inflame tensions over immigration. South Texas, the State Department says, is where fraudulent birth documents have been found, issued by specific doctors and midwives along the Texas-Mexico border." Nauert adds, quote, "Under the Trump administration, domestic passport denials for so-called midwife cases are at a 6-year low." Lawyers with the ACLU say they're now looking at their legal options. They recently celebrated a victory by successfully suing and halting the separation of immigrant children from their families at the border this past summer. Brett?
Casey, thank you. Staying in Texas, a federal judge in Texas says he believes DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, is illegal. He says it will probably be struck down, but for now he is letting it continue to operate. That postpones a conflict with 3 federal orders that have required the government to keep accepting DACA renewals, even after President Trump tried to end the program last year. The Democratic congressman challenging Texas Senator Ted Cruz this fall reportedly tried to drive away from a 1998 drunken driving incident. Beto O'Rourke has long acknowledged that arrest and called it an inexcusable mistake. Now, 2 Texas newspapers today cite a police report from a witness to that accident. The Houston Chronicle reports both campaigns have declined to comment so far. O'Rourke made a splash last week when he responded to a question about NFL players kneeling during the national anthem by saying he could think of nothing more American. Well, as we head to break, we wanted to bring you back to Aretha Franklin, that celebration of life going on, the funeral now in Detroit. Stevie Wonder is paying tribute. We'll be back on the other side of the break with more news from Washington.
Probably my favorite anyways. First one I think is the best one.
Is that that one?
Yeah.
Is that we need to make love great again. Because black lives do matter. Because all lives do matter. And if we love God, then we know truly it is our love that will make all things better. When we make love great again. That is what Aretha said throughout her life. Through the pain, she gave us the joy and said,
Chris is almost here.
let's make love great again.
Okay.
I never imagined that when I wrote this song at the age of 15, Aretha Franklin will be singing Till You Come Back to Me. But she did. And better than I could have ever. And I thank her every time we talked about that, and we talked about doing another song together on the next album we're going to do. But you know what? I look forward to that time if I'm so blessed
There's 6
to be with her again,
well, no, there's 7.
to write the song that God wants me to write that will be the best
Fantastic
ever.
Beasts. So technically there's 8.
Until then, I want everyone to join me. And I want to sing a song
Because
to
the last book
Aretha
in Harry Potter was turned into 2 movies.
that I know we all feel,
So that would make 7.
and I know we all want to
Fantastic Beasts.
express. So that's what I want us to do now.
And then the
Amen.
new Fantastic Beasts should be coming out.
I don't see the
Thank you.
Sorcerer's Stone now anywhere.
I saw it on Cinemark's site. Let's see.
So if everyone join me, I appreciate it.
Cinemark West Plano.
If you don't, I'll see you later.
No, 7 o'clock. At West Plano.
I'm looking at the Cinemark Legacy in XD. I don't see it there. It was there a while ago.
I thought the one that we always go to is Cinemark West Plano. Is it Legacy we go to? No, we gotta go to West Plano. That's the one I have saved. It's my favorite. Yeah, we gotta West Plano. Yeah, the one that we go to, the one that we always go to is West Plano. I don't even know where Cinemark Legacy is. Yes. Cinemark West Plano next year.
Seasons know exactly when to change. There's kindness, no shame, under all your joy and pain. That I'll be loving you always. Today I know I'm living for tomorrow. It may be the past, but that I mustn't fear. So I know deep in my mind, love me, I never lie. I'll be loving you always.
Yeah, because the one that you're looking at is off of 75. The Cinemark
Switch to Sprint and get 50% off a lease on the new Samsung Galaxy Note 9 and get the Galaxy SIM free.
Boogie, boogie, boogie.
That's actually a 40-minute drive.
Well, how far from here? Okay. All right.
Monkey. Papa's talking to you.
Treating others like we'd like to be treated.
I think Papa's ready to
Has
go.
always been our guiding principle.
Meet George Gibson. His boy Elroy.
With instant acceleration, electric cars are more fun to drive and more affordable than ever. Electric cars are here. Plug in to the present.
Alien Con Baltimore is coming November 9th through the 11th at the Baltimore Convention Center. Connect with others in the including expert panels and autograph signings with Eric Von Daniken, Giorgio Tsoukalos, David Childress, plus other Ancient Aliens contributors and celebrity guests. Alien Con Baltimore, November 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets at thealiencon.com.
1 car, 115. 2 cars, 165. 3 cars, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars.
Counting Cars. New episodes return in October on History.
Cairo, Egypt. At the Egyptian Museum, an entire floor is dedicated to the incredible treasures found in the tomb of King Tutankhamun. Among them is a metal dagger that has baffled both scientists and archaeologists because it appears to be made of iron, but dates back to at least 1322 BC, more than a century before Egypt's Iron Age. On May 20th, 2016, a new layer was added to the mystery. Researchers from the Journal of Meteorics and Planetary Science announced that they had finally determined the composition of King Tut's dagger. After detailed analysis, it was confirmed that the blade is indeed iron, forged from metal that originated not on Earth, but in the stars.
Meteorites are very difficult to fashion into objects. Anybody, even today, who's ever worked with a meteorite will tell you that because of the high nickel content, they're very, very brittle and very difficult to work with.
Considering the difficulties of working with meteoric metal, even with today's technology, how did metallurgists 3,300 years ago perform such tasks?
This dagger is completely out of place in the fact that, unlike simple objects like beads that can be simply hammered out and rolled, this has been perfected to a point where it has no hammer marks on it. It's completely smooth. It has a nice edge all the way around on it. It almost looks as if it had been cast. But in order to achieve that, you would have to reach temperatures of 3,000 degrees in order to melt that meteorite. And then, of course, add the necessary fluxes to get the impurities out and then cast the blade, which brings up even more questions for the researchers. If they were smelting iron, it would change our whole outlook on Egyptian history.
What could explain the presence of this mysterious metal dagger in King Tut's tomb, when no other similar artifacts have been found in Egypt dating back to this period? Might Egyptian metallurgists have had help working with this difficult compound? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest stories found throughout the ancient world reveal that extraterrestrials taught our ancestors the secrets of metallurgy in order to help move society forward.
True metallurgy, in the sense of putting different metals together as alloys, dates back to maybe 3800 BC, when bronze was first discovered as an alloy of tin and copper. Maybe the second most important development after the harnessing of fire.
As we think of modern times and our emphasis on technology here, it was the sacred roots to all of that. Stories emerged out of all the religious systems about the gods as metal workers. Hephaestus in the Greek imagination made the weapons and the armor for the gods. In the Celtic imagination, it was the great goddess Bridget, who made beautiful and wonderful and powerful things into metal and then into fabricated form. In Japanese lore, Kanayago came to Earth to teach the people metalworking.
There seems to be a ubiquitous understanding from ancient cultures that metallurgy is from the heavens. Could there be some tie that in the past, certain abilities were originally brought to man, possibly by extraterrestrials, and things we would create had a certain energy or myth about them that still is alive today?
According to ancient astronaut theorists, the most compelling of these stories originates in the same place as King Tut's mysterious dagger, Egypt, where they worshipped a sacred object called the Benben stone. Ancient Egyptian texts describe the Benben stone as a meteoric iron object that belongs to the heavens. The original Benben stone mysteriously disappeared, but many ancient depictions of it remain.
The Benben stone has a very strange origin. It is thought that the Benben stone descended from the sky like a firebird. If you look at the Benben stone, sometimes it is described or depicted with people coming out of this stone. Now, to me, this looks very similar to a lunar module. If you have the idea that this firebird is descending from the sky with fire and smoke, well, if you look at a rocket descending, these are firebirds. So our ancestors perhaps witnessed some type of a craft descending from the sky, out of which these extraterrestrials came, which set in motion our technological evolution.
According to Egyptian texts, their gods were extraterrestrial beings that came to Earth and taught our ancestors the secrets of metalwork. if true. Might this be why we find isolated examples of advanced and sacred metallurgy occurring long before mankind was known to have grasped such technology? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that hidden away in the storage area of a small museum in Eastern Europe is even more astounding evidence. The remnants of what might be an extraterrestrial spacecraft. Transylvania, Romania, 1970. Workers digging a trench along the banks of the Meuse River unearthed two giant bones. And with them, a mysterious metal object buried 35 feet beneath the surface. The discovery brings the project to a halt as the crew takes their findings to a nearby museum. This strange object, known today as the Wedge of Ayut, continues to baffle archaeologists because it is an aluminum alloy that appears to have been made thousands of years before humans were able to smelt or fabricate metal.
It was 10 meters in depth, associated with some bones, which they later identified as woolly mammoth bones. If they were contemporary, all of them, then they were in use sometime in the period when Neanderthals roamed the earth, so they were extinct 40,000 years ago, so they must be older than that. The wedge was analyzed 3 times, to my knowledge. The main metal in its composition is aluminum.
Humans didn't really start working with aluminum until well into the 1800s. So when you look at this wedge and you analyze it, it really has most of the modern properties we would associate with aluminum.
This incredible metal artifact was discovered at a time when Romania was behind the Iron Curtain of the former Soviet Union. For decades, government officials refused to reveal where the Wedge of Ayut was being held, even after the fall of the USSR. But its location has recently come to light, and in January of 2017, ancient astronaut theory pioneer Erich von Däniken and his protege, Georgios Tsoukalos, sought out the wedge to see it for themselves.
With car gurus, you don't have to know cars to know what really matters about a car.
What are we looking at?
Emma's new car.
Well, used. It's the silver one. Nice. Lunar silver or modern steel?
I don't know which silver exactly, but I use Car Gurus. They give you dealer reviews, each used car gets a deal rating, and they sort the best deals first. And that was a great deal.
Somebody get a promotion or something? Go to Car Gurus today to find great deals from top-rated dealers near you.
Now playing. Discover the true story of the hunt for Hitler's deadliest lieutenant. For the sake of our people, do not fail. Critics are raving Oscar Isaac and Ben Kingsley soar in this gripping spy thriller. Operation Finale. Rated PG-13.
I've been helping my mom manage her medication for about 2 years now.
My son told me about PillPack, and I've been taking it ever since. The pills are kept separately, and I know what I'm supposed to take each day.
PillPack allowed for my mom to stay in her home for a longer period, which is what she really wanted and what we all wanted.
My doctors see a difference in me taking PillPack. It feels very good.
Visit pillpack.com today.
The Mitsubishi Motors Summer Season Pass sales event. 0% financing for 72 months. And no payments for 90 days on select models. Hurry into your local Mitsubishi Motors dealer for our award-winning line of vehicles. Exciting offers end September 4th.
Wait,
This is so great. How do you all know each other?
We're slingers.
We sling. Hey guys. Yeah, we like to make our own choices.
Be in control.
Let's move this party inside. It's game time.
Come on. With Sling, it's easy to watch all the live TV we want.
Not paying for channels we don't need.
Oh, Sling. What did you think we were doing?
I didn't want to take my clothes off.
Sling TV is the live TV you love, only better, and only $25 a month. Watch America's #1 live TV streaming service for 7 days free. Go to slingtv.com.
It's Spectrum's Best Deal Days, and we're kicking it off with Spectrum Internet for $29.99 a month and Spectrum Voice for $19.99.
This all has to do with China.
Well, sure, because China, and this is you have to separate out the arguments between Europe and Canada and Mexico and China. China is violating our intellectual property. I mean, it's one of the biggest thefts of intellectual property in human history. There are legitimate issues. Like, even people who have been critical of what the president was doing when it comes to the EU, when it comes to our trading partners and our allies, should be backing him when it comes to China.
All right. As for that breaking story out of New Mexico, I just told you about, the FBI is now adding more details, saying they arrested all 5 extremist Muslims. That's how they're characterizing the 5 arrested here on federal charges. We'll continue to follow that story after a judge dismissed all the charges just the other day. Next up, Friday Lightning Round.
I know, it's insane.
I get it all the time. Have you lost weight? Of course I have. Ever since I started renting from National. Because National lets me lose the weight at the counter and choose any car in the aisle. And I don't wait when I return, thanks to Drop and Go. At National, I can lose the weight and keep it off. Looking good, Patrick! I know. Go National. Go like a pro.
Anybody that tells you that they don't want a full head of hair is lying.
It was like really thinning out on the top. I was like, here we go.
Once Hims came along, I realized that doesn't have to happen to me.
It's an easy, fast, and inexpensive way to keep hair.
It was really comforting to have a doctor make me feel really confident that this is a product I should be using.
What you get from Hims is definitely worth the price.
I'm no longer going bald, yay!
It's nice to still normal.
Where will you be when your oral laxative kicks in? The pool? In bed? Try Fleet Liquid Glycerin instead. Relief in minutes, not hours. Guaranteed. Fleet.
Every time on your time.
Why do so many homeowners start home repair and improvement projects at Home Advisor?
With Home Advisor, we know we're going to find the right pros for absolutely any project.
You can read reviews,
Compare prices,
and book an appointment online.
and it's free. Go to homeadvisor.com.
I was very disappointed there wasn't one closer.
I really feel good about going into the dealership. I feel like I'm going home.
It was a very easy decision to buy my second Audi from Sewell.
It's another high-quality, highly regarded luxury brand that deserves the level of service that you find at a Sewell dealership.
I drive in there, get my car washed, they make cookies. That was a nice plus.
Sewell plus Audi, I love that.
Discover our wide variety of new and certified pre-owned vehicles at Sewell Audi McKinney.
Around here, we spend way too much time on the road. So why not be proud of what you drive? At PM Stanley, you'll find your next car, truck, or loaded SUV, all inside our amazing showroom. With all the extras, leather, TV with games, tire and wheel upgrades, at no additional cost to you. So whether you go here or here, be proud of what you drive. And remember, Stanley stands for safety.
I already know what's going to happen.
Stanley Motor Parts.
Cry a lot, and it's going to be no point, and
the
we can't
Dalworth Jingle is one of Dallas-Fort Worth's most recognizable songs.
fine,
Can you sing the Dalworth Jingle?
Call 267. No, this tonight he cried even more.
Oh no, okay, wait, let's start that again.
Because
the
next
thing
he didn't fall off.
Today.
He
Make an offer
got
at
out.
the 3 rooms and get the 4th room free when you sing the Dalworth Jingle. And remember,
Call 267-8433 because the next best thing to do is Dalworth Queen.
beautifully located northwest of McKinney, Trinity Falls is a master-planned community that offers a perfect combination of spectacular nature, world-class amenities, and convenient location. Imagine a small-town lifestyle only 35 minutes from downtown Dallas and just around the corner from historic downtown McKinney. With 450 acres of open spaces, miles of nature trails, and the acclaimed McKinney Independent School District, Trinity Falls is the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. Call or visit trinityfalls.com.
Start this hearing with only 4% of Brett Kavanaugh's White House record available to the public. I'd contrast this with 99% of Elena Kagan's record was available at the time of her hearing.
Senator Grassley is often fond of saying that sunlight is the best disinfectant. What we have here is darkness. There will be sparks at this hearing. Sparks will fly.
Senate Democrats on the Judiciary Committee getting ready for the Brett Kavanaugh hearings starting Tuesday. We'll have you completely covered as Judge Kavanaugh gets up for that nomination hearing, lightning round. What do we think, setting up these hearings?
Yeah, you've got a lot of Democrats, or a lot of people on the left who are complaining the Democrats aren't being tough enough on Judge Kavanaugh, and there's a reason for that, because Judge Kavanaugh is going to be confirmed, and there's not a lot of people who want to waste political capital on a losing battle. You've got, the fact is, there are a bunch of Senate Democrats who are running for re-election in states that Donald Trump won by double digits, and they don't want to have to vote against Judge Kavanaugh. They want this to be over as soon as possible, and there have been so far no Republican defections. Rand Paul says he's voting for him. Susan Collins had a good meeting. So unless somebody defects, and those Democrats are put in the position of having to be the deciding vote, which they don't want to do, this is going to be confirmed.
Molly.
Democrats are having a tough time fighting this just because this is a very difficult nomination to fight. Judge Kavanaugh has an extensive record. He has 300 judicial opinions that you can go through. Elena Kagan had to turn over a lot of paperwork because she didn't have much of a judicial record. There's no question that everyone knows what they're getting with Kavanaugh, and it's somewhat disingenuous to say otherwise.
They have more paper than any other nominee. I mean, they have hundreds of thousands of pages. They want more, but it's not going to be delayed because of that.
It's not going to be delayed. Kavanaugh gets confirmed, but watch those 2020 Democrats running. They're going to ask about abortion and Roe v. Wade, and also executive power and executive privilege, and what the president's view is, or what Kavanaugh's view is on what the president's power is over the independent judiciary.
All right, winners and losers, lightning. Here we go. Winner and loser.
Winner, both of them having to do with the Catholic scandals in the Catholic Church. Winner is Archbishop Bigelow, who broke the Vatican's code of silence and named names when it came to cardinals and even the Pope in covering up abuse. He's courageous, and I wish more bishops would follow his lead. Loser is Cardinal Kupich of Chicago, who said that Pope Francis has more important things to do than focus on sexual abuse, the rabbit hole of sexual abuse, because he's got to handle climate change and immigration. And he also said that the people who don't like him are doing it because he's Latino. I mean, one, he's not Latino. Two, really? I mean, that's beneath the office of a cardinal.
All right, winner and loser.
Winner, Andrew Gillum surprised people in Florida by winning that gubernatorial election. He is a very progressive candidate. This is more significant than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who also got a lot of media coverage. This shows the Democrats really, and Republicans should be aware of the growing progressive part of their party. My loser, the media, not just because of their mess up with the story involving Lanny Davis and Michael Cohen, a fake news story that they promulgated, and some media outlets didn't come clean when it was revealed that they hadn't handled that story properly, but also the media for how they're handling the Catholic Church situation. They're treating it as if credible allegations of a cover-up of sexual abuse by up to and including the Pope himself are just the result of political considerations instead of concern for children.
Winner and loser.
My winner is Joe Biden. I think his heartfelt tribute to John McCain was an important moment of national unity that this country is desperate in need of. I also think he's the only Democrat in the country that can really connect with people outside his party. I don't think Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, even Barack Obama can. And I think we're going to see more of Joe Biden this fall on the campaign trail and his ascent rising. My loser is the Texas Republican Party. You mentioned Beto O'Rourke's problem with the DWI. I think that's a fair attack. What's not a fair attack is attacking a guy who was in a band in college. Isn't that a pro? Don't we want that? That we say he's in a dress, but man, I think that's a reason to vote for a politician.
Winners and losers. Thank you very much, panel. When we come back, notable quotes.
My bladder leakage, the products I've tried just didn't fit right. They were very saggy. It's getting in the way of our camping trips. But with new sizes, Depend Fit Flex is made for me.
Introducing more sizes for better comfort. New Depend Fit Flex underwear is guaranteed to be your best fit.
Remember me? This system is broken. I'm trying to stop it from ruining any more lives. Do I have your attention?
Peppermint. Rated R.
In an era of online retail where everything is just a few clicks away, buying a car should be no different. That's why at Carvana, you can buy a car 100% online. We made it easy to browse, view, and buy from over 10,000 cars. You can even trade in your old car, all while binge watching your favorite TV show. Afterwards, we'll deliver your car to you. Or you can pick it up from one of our car vending machines. Either way, your car comes with a 7-day return policy. So grab a seat, relax in your comfy pants, and enjoy the new way to buy a car at Carvana.
The best part about being a bath fitter installer is the reveal. Homeowners greet us in the morning and love that we're going to install a beautiful new tub right over their old one without tearing the bathroom apart.
but they're never quite prepared for what they get come the end of the day. We call it the wow moment. When they see their new bathtub that's high quality and more beautiful than they could have imagined, I can't help but smile. Since it's Bath Fitter, it's built to last a lifetime. We guarantee it.
Book your free in-home consultation today. Call or visit bathfitter.com.
Think you know SiriusXM? It's time you take a different look. Beyond the button in your car and beyond where we've taken you before. Hear things you've never heard and see things you've only heard about. Now for a limited time, available free to everyone to listen anywhere through September 10th on the SiriusXM app, online, and on the inactive satellite radio in your car. See what we sound like.
When we sold our home, we only wanted our real estate agent to do two things: sell our home fast and for the most money. Thankfully, we found HomeLight.
HomeLight rates all the agents in your neighborhood using actual performance data like transaction history and reviews. That's data on millions of agents you can't find anywhere else.
It took just a few minutes, and it didn't cost us anything. We sold in just 2 days, and for more than we ever thought we would.
Join the thousands of people who have found a great real estate agent by going to HomeLight.com.
Whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, whether I find a place in this world or never belong, I've gotta be me, I've gotta be me. What else can I be but what I am?
Hi there. This is a commercial about insurance. I know you're thinking, I don't want to hear about insurance. Because let's be honest, nobody likes dealing with insurance, right? Which is why Esurance hired me, Dennis Quaid, as their spokesperson, because apparently I'm highly likable.
I like Dennis Quaid.
Aw. And they want me to let you know that cue over dramatic music. They're on a mission to make insurance painless.
Excuse me. Did you drop this?
They know it's confusing. I really have no idea what I'm getting, Dennis Quaid. That's why they're making it simple. Man and Cafe. And they know it's expensive.
Yeah.
So they're making it affordable.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a prop apple.
Now, you might not believe any of this, since this is a television commercial. But that's why they're being so transparent. Anyways, this is the end of the commercial, where I walk off into a very dramatic sunset to reveal the new Esurance tagline, so that you'll remember it. Esurance. It's surprisingly painless.
It's Friday. Notable quotables.
Hello?
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial.
Hello?
Can you stop
Can you stop lying?
Yeah, as soon as you do.
We really don't know what Kirsten Sinema believes, except her extreme, out-of-touch, left, proud Prada socialist, pink tutu-wearing, protesting past.
Arizonans don't care whether you have an R or a D at the end of your name.
We will not cooperate with ICE. They're a bunch of thugs.
We call ICE, and they go into those towns, and they grab those guys by the neck, and they throw them into those paddy wagons.
The last thing we need to do is to monkey this up.
The handbook of Donald Trump, they no longer do whistle calls. They're now using full bullhorns.
And when you want to kick out someone...
He's an Aquarius, by the way, and Mars is in retrograde. So we all know what that means. Judge Kavanaugh is going to destroy America.
It could end up being a junior high school cafeteria food fight. That's entirely up to the Democrats.
We started out as like Aretha groupies or something.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democrat.
Anybody who, anyway, tarnishes the reputation of John McCain deserves a whipping.
I believe there's a little John McCain in all of us. And the little John McCain, practiced by a lot of people, can make this a really great nation.
That is it for this special report. Fair, balanced, and unafraid. We'll have complete coverage of the funeral service at the National Cathedral tomorrow. And I'll be alongside Martha McCallum, who has her show now. Martha.
Good evening, Brett. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, hello, everybody. Tonight from The Story, we are overlooking the United States Capitol this evening as we also keep a watch on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Washington, D.C., one of our nation's most iconic, most solemn monuments. You can see a veteran there putting his hand against the wall as he walks by. It will be the site this evening of a candlelight remembrance in honor of Senator John McCain, who spent 5.5 years in prison in the Hanoi Hilton. So we will keep a close eye on that. We'll bring you that back there in just a little bit. But first tonight, we have several breaking stories that we need to get to this evening. Shocking accusations leveled at the very top executives tonight at NBC News. Did they bury the story on Harvey Weinstein, and why? Trace Gallagher live in our West Coast newsroom with these allegations this evening. Hi, Trace.
Hi, Martha. The accusations come from former NBC producer Rich McHugh, who until this month worked in NBC's investigative unit. In August of last year, McHugh and Ronan Farrow were working on the Harvey Weinstein story, and as they were about to fly to Los Angeles to interview a woman with credible allegations of rape against Weinstein, Rich McHugh told Fox News that from the highest levels of NBC, quote, "I was told not to do the interview in order to stand down, thus effectively killing the story. That was unethical and a massive breach of journalistic integrity." NBC says McHugh's assertion is an outright lie, claiming that at the time, Ronan Farrow didn't have a single on-the-record victim or witness to any misconduct by Weinstein. Going on to say, quoting, "Farrow believed his reporting was ready for
repeatedly. I knew that Weinstein was calling NBC executives directly. One time it happened when we were in the room. What are your thoughts on all this, Mark?
Yeah, that's how he did it. That's how Weinstein operated. It had worked for him in Los Angeles, in New York, in Toronto, in Rome, in London, in Paris, all over the planet. And I think what we understand from this story, and Ronan Farrow is not to my taste politically, he's on the opposite side of the spectrum, but without Ronan Farrow, there would be no Me Too movement. There would be no Me Too story. The Weinstein story would never have broken. And obviously, in the case of Ronan Farrow, it comes because of his particular differences within his own family that he was determined to stick to this story. And for that reason, I think he deserves even more credit, because if he'd just been the typical mid-level NBC News staffer, he would have done what everybody else did and figured it wasn't worth it to his career to go up against Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, in fact, at least according to this story, the Weinstein folks tried to pressure NBC by also saying, you know, this is Woody Allen's relative, essentially, and you guys can't let him run this story because he has a conflict of interest. That was one of the other things that they did to put pressure on him. But just in terms of the journalistic questions that are raised and whether or not NBC should have run with it, here is the tape that they did have by Miss Gutierrez, who was wired in her conversation that she had with Harvey Weinstein. Let's play this just to remind people this story goes back a ways.
I'm feeling very comfortable right now.
I was kind of creating a Jason's If you want to leave when the guy touches my
Why yesterday you touched my breast?
Please, I'm sorry, just I'm used to that.
He says, I'm used to that, which I just love. I mean, doesn't that really tell you everything you need to know? Then an NBC spokesperson told Daily Beast about that tape. The tape on its own was color. It added to an already known accusation. While it was absolutely significant to hear her voice, the tape alone would not expose Weinstein as a serial sexual predator, as been alleged. That was one of the reasons that they gave for why they didn't go with the story, Mark.
I think that's ridiculous, because I think that tape just in itself indicates what's going on there. Even if he hadn't actually, if she hadn't actually said, "Why have you touched my breast?" Just the pressure and the intimidation there. Yeah. That is what Weinstein did to women. I think it's women from 4 different continents up to now. It's dozens of women. And what I think is this NBC story confirms is that, in effect, the defense that we didn't know this was going on is actually not true. It's not just that low-level staffers employed by Weinstein were hired to facilitate these encounters and to protect him when the person on the receiving end started causing trouble. It's also that high-level people throughout the rest of the industry, like NBC's senior executives, were in on the cover-up too. And that's absolutely shaming for Hollywood and for the media and entertainment industry as a whole too.
Well, one of the questions that's been raised, Noah Oppenheim also writes movie scripts, and whether or not he was concerned that this might make it problematic for him. And as you hear in this report, they obviously were calling NBC executives. They had a Matt Lauer problem too, which apparently they knew about before people, really started to come forward with that. I want to get your thoughts on one other issue here that kind of has to do with the press and with this Canada trade story. It's another big story tonight as President Trump has blasted a Toronto newspaper for publishing off-the-record remarks that he made to Bloomberg News yesterday. In the piece, President Trump said that Canada is, quote, going to make a deal at some point, but the Toronto Star published these remarks from the interview that it had from an anonymous source off the record. The deal will totally be on our terms, totally. The Star wrote that Trump isn't making any compromises, but that he can't say that publicly because he feels, quote, it's going to be so insulting they're not going to be able to make a deal. The president responded to all this, wow, I made the off-the-record comments to Bloomberg concerning Canada, and this powerful understanding was blatantly violated. Oh, well, just more dishonest reporting. I'm used to it. At least Canada knows where I stand. Oh, boy.
I'm Canadian, Martha, and I said on the radio in Toronto last week that everybody knew where they stood, that basically the U.S. and Mexico had replaced NAFTA with a U.S.-Mexico trade deal, and that Justin Trudeau, who's a very handsome, nice-looking chap, delightful fellow, always well-dressed, washes his hair, he would be invited to the signing ceremony. I didn't know anything about it, but that looks like it was the cunning, sinister master plan all along. And basically, Canada doesn't have a choice here. Trump is right on the issues like the dairy protectionism, which actually is basically a French-Canadian racket that discriminates against English Canada. And I think the fact that he's actually gone ahead and done the difficult part with Mexico, he's absolutely right, that Canada will sign up to whatever deal it can take.
Oh, Canada. Oh, Mark, thank you very much. Good to see you tonight. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you, too.
Good to
Thanks
have
a
you on
lot,
the show.
Martha. Yeah.
Thanks for being here. All right, so one of the most hotly contested Senate races in the country, about to get a little bit hotter after an old police report has surfaced on Ted Cruz's opponent. And that's not all. Now President Trump is jumping into the fray. Chris Darwalt joins us coming up next.
You know, Lion Ted Cruz came today. He couldn't draw 100 people.
Before discovering Nexium 24-Hour to treat her frequent heartburn, Lucy could only imagine enjoying a slice of pizza. Now, it's as easy as pie. Nexium 24-Hour stops acid before it starts for all-day, all-night protection. Can you imagine 24 hours without heartburn?
It's the Labor Day sale at Ace.
The perfect time to buy a grill from our exclusive lineup of premium brands.
Right now, save $50 on select Weber Spirit grills. Plus, get free assembly and delivery on grills $3.99 and up. Now through Monday.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Who would have thought? Who would have guessed? An energy company helping cars emit less. Making cars lighter. It's a good place to start. Advanced oils for those hard-working parts. Fuels that go further, so drivers pump less. Improving efficiency is what we do best. Energy lives here.
Psoriatic arthritis tries to get in my way? Watch me.
I've tried lots of things for my joint pain. Now, watch me.
Think I'd give up showing these guys how it's done? Please.
Real people with active psoriatic arthritis are changing the way they fight it. They're moving forward with Cosentix. It's a different kind of targeted biologic. It's proven to help people find less joint pain and clearer skin. Don't use if you are allergic to Cosentix. Before starting Cosentix, you should be checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms of an infection, or if you have received a vaccine or plan to. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, tell your doctor if symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
With less joint pain, watch me.
For less joint pain and clearer skin, ask your rheumatologist about Cosentix.
Insurance that won't replace the full value of your new car? You're better off throwing your money right into the harbor. Gonna regret that.
With Liberty Mutual new car replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase Sensimist relieves all your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't, and all from a gentle mist you can barely feel. Flonase Sensimist.
Saving faith. Will Kavanaugh defend religious liberty? What his stance could mean for his nomination. Kelly Shackelford shares his gospel on the judge. Only on Fox News at night.
It's Spectrum's best deal days, and we're kicking it off with Spectrum Internet for $29.99 a month and Spectrum Voice for $19.99 a month. Call 844-578-1999. You already have the best TV service with Spectrum TV. Now add Spectrum Internet with the fastest starting speeds, 100 megabits per second, and enough bandwidth to keep everyone's devices connected with no data caps, plus a free modem. But wait, there's more when you call 844-578-1999. Spectrum Voice with unlimited nationwide calling in the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and more with no additional taxes and fees. Includes tons of free features for $19.99 a month, no contracts, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's Spectrum's best deal days. Get Spectrum Internet for $29.99 a month and Spectrum Voice for $19.99 a month. Call 844-578-1999.
I need to call and get there.
Okay. Well, you know, they say everything is bigger in Texas, right? And this year's Senate race is mighty big, folks. Incumbent Republican Ted Cruz finds himself now in a pretty close race with Democratic challenger Congressman Beto O'Rourke. The race is shaping up to be the most expensive in the country. And O'Rourke is outraising Cruz at the moment. The polls say that it's within 1 point. Some of them have a slightly larger spread than that. But today, in a clear sign that this is a tight race, a story broke about a previously known 1998 DWI arrest for O'Rourke, but now claiming that he had attempted to flee the scene also at the time. He issued this statement today: "I drove drunk and was arrested for a DWI in 1998. As I have publicly discussed over the last 20 years, I made a serious mistake for which there is no excuse. This, as Senator Cruz is getting a long-awaited boost from President Trump, the man who once lovingly referred to him as Lyin' Ted. You remember that? With this tweet, though, in part, the president says, I will be doing a major rally for Senator Ted Cruz in October. I'm picking the biggest stadium in Texas we can find. As you know, Ted has my complete and total endorsement. Don't you love politics, Chris Starwell? Joins me now, Fox News politics editor. I remember the Lyin' Ted days, but now
and
he's going to be his best buddy down there.
And his wife and his dad and the Zodiac Killer.
Oh, yeah.
That was when 2016 was when it was really at its dankest. It was the Trump-Cruz feud was some very ugly business.
So how much of a problem is this revelation for Beto O'Rourke?
Not
a problem.
Not a problem. George W. Bush. This is well-trammeled. This is well-trammeled ground. And by the way, I think Texas Republicans are making a mistake when the narrative that they're shaping around O'Rourke is he was a wild child. He was in a punk band. He was so cool. Skateboard bad boy. And then he cleaned up his life, obtained success in business, and went on into politics. That's not the narrative that they want to reinforce because that's something that a lot of Texans will admire.
Yeah,
they'll
he's
think
kind
it's
of a
cool.
rebel, and they'll think, it's like the cool guy versus the not so cool guy.
Never would anybody say that Ted Cruz is the not so cool.
Maybe Ted Cruz wouldn't even cop to that, right? So, what's the deal with the debate? Are we going to see a debate between these two, do you think?
They better. And by the way, you know who would probably be good at moderating that?
How about me and Bret Baier?
That's a pretty interesting idea. What if you and Bret Baier were to moderate a debate between them?
Apparently they were supposed to have one that they turned down. They couldn't agree on the terms, so we'd be happy to give them terms that they could probably agree to.
Call me.
We would love to do that. So talk to me about the money and the support and, how, from a strategy perspective, how do you think this is shaping up?
So look, the great, our pollster, Darren Shaw, did the Texas Lyceum poll that you mentioned that had it within 1 point. That poll also, as they made very clear, had huge undecided because they didn't push anybody anyway. They asked a lot of races, and it came to within 1 point. You know what's going to happen in Texas? Texas is going to revert to being Texas at the end, and as those undecided voters come in, the predominance, not maybe overwhelming predominance of those undecided voters are registered Republicans, and guess what's going to happen as they make up their minds? They're going to tend to prefer the Republican candidate. So this race I would say this is the analog for the race in New Jersey, where Bob Hugin looks very close, but as you get closer to the end, it's going to get harder and harder.
Very similar. They have a lot of similarities. I completely agree. These are the top 3 stadiums in Texas, and President Trump, I think, he draws a huge crowd, as we know. Let's put the stadiums up there. The biggest stadiums, look at how big these, talk about big. 181,000. I don't think they're going to go there. Kyle Field gets 102,000. Texas Memorial, 100,000. But I think they're going to go for like the arena.
If you put Ted Cruz in a nitro funny car, one of those funny car racers, and put him on the Texas Motor Speedway, maybe they could pack it.
And there's, I think, how many days till the election?
67. But who's counting?
And take a look at the map, because President Trump is going to spend 40 of the next 67 days out on the road, mostly in those states, and that's a familiar little collection.
And those are
isn't it?
Those are mostly red states. I think the Nevada choice is highly questionable. The Missouri is somewhat questionable. But in Texas, he will only do good for Cruz, because when they want to squeeze that undecided toothpaste out of the tube, and it will be red in color when they do.
They will love it. All right, Chris, thanks.
Welcome to D.C.
Thanks. Always good to be here. So let's go take a live look now. We'll go back to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, which if you have not visited this place in New York, you should. I mean in Washington, D.C. Pardon me. I got my cities mixed up. But it is a really stirring monument to the Vietnam War. It lists the names of all of those lost, and it starts very small on the left-hand side, and the names and the numbers get bigger and bigger as the war goes on. There's going to be a candlelight remembrance there in just a few moments. We'll take you there live as soon as that gets underway this evening. Also tonight, my exclusive interview with the Russian dissident who was twice poisoned by Vladimir Putin and who was handpicked by John McCain to carry his casket tomorrow.
I can tell you, as somebody who's been involved in the pro-democracy movement and the opposition movement in Russia for many years, we had no biggest friend and no biggest supporter on Capitol Hill when it came to defending the rights and the freedoms and the dignity of the Russian people than Senator John McCain.
The wonderful thing about pollen is the fact that it's very, very tough on bacteria.
yet it's very gentle on the denture itself.
Polydent consists of 4 powerful ingredients that work together to deep clean your denture in hard-to-reach places.
Come on, Dad. Higher. Higher. Parents aren't perfect, but then they make us Kraft mac and cheese, and everything's good again.
Some believe if it's not German, it's not luxury performance. So we brought these Infiniti SUVs to Germany with American families to drive them.
This truck is only for German luxury auto, not for family or SUV.
VC Turbo. It's like 2 engines in one. How did Germany not do that first?
Keine Kinder auf der
The
Strecke.
Infiniti family of SUVs. There's nothing traditional about it. Lease the Infiniti QX50 for $379 a month at the Start Your Own Legacy summer sales event. Infiniti. Empower the drive.
With Car Gurus, you don't have to know cars to know what really matters about a car.
What are we looking at? Emma's new car.
Well, used. It's the silver one. Nice. Lunar silver or modern steel? I don't know which silver exactly, but I use Car Gurus. They give you dealer reviews, each used car gets a deal rating, and they sort the best deals first. And that's a great deal.
Somebody get a promotion or something?
Go to Car Gurus today to find great deals from top-rated dealers near you.
Anybody that tells you that they don't want a full head of hair is lying.
It was like really thinning out on the top. I was like, here we go.
Once Hims came along, I realized that doesn't have to happen to me.
It's an easy, fast, and inexpensive way to keep hair.
It was really comforting to have a doctor make me feel really confident that this was a product I should be using.
What you get from Hims is definitely worth the price.
I'm no longer going bald. Yay!
I've been helping my mom manage her medication for about 2 years now.
My son told me about PillPack, and I've been taking it ever since.
I can't get Netflix to work. Why isn't Netflix working?
I don't know. Not my cable.
I know, it's really
You
weird.
sure the internet's connected?
No. I can't get Netflix. It's really weird. It's really, really weird. I can't get Netflix.
Fatal infections and cancers.
No, I can't get it at all. Settings.
Areas where certain fungal infections are common. And if you've had TB, hepatitis.
This is connected. Okay, so
In Charlotte, North Carolina, so they are about ready to move the staircase over.
I guess I can do it that way. No, I guess I can't. Seriously?
Remembrance as Brothers in Arms gather this evening.
That's not what I want. Jason's deli. Yeah, that's right. Damn it. When aren't you working?
Remy, you wanna play? You wanna play around? Let's play. Remy, you're being annoying. You're being annoying. You're being very annoying. Not helpful. Hey. Hey. I have you by the feet.
Human rights. I like to talk about the importance of political freedom, of human dignity, do this grandstanding. And Senator McCain didn't just speak about those values. You know, he lived those values. He believed in those values. He stood up for those values. And with him, the words and the deeds were always the same. And like so many others who subscribe to this notion of realpolitik, who are prepared to cut cynical deals with authoritarian and kleptocratic regimes, Senator McCain never did that. For him to do this would be to go against everything he believed in. And so he was one of those political leaders who were the earliest to speak the truth about the Putin dictatorship and the Putin authoritarianism and the Putin kleptocracy. The first time that he publicly sounded a warning about Putin's coming authoritarianism was in February of 2000 during a Republican presidential primary debate in South Carolina.
I'm very concerned about Mr. Putin. I'm afraid Mr. Putin might be one of those who wants to make the trains run on time.
This was the time as...
Okay, Remy, are you sure it's connected to Wi-Fi?
Yeah, it says it is.
Is the VPN connected?
It says it is. Okay,
Kisses.
I know.
2008, he sounded a public warning about Putin's coming aggressive designs on the world stage, and he proved...
Oh no.
That's so freaking strange.
Kremlin, as the people who are robbing the citizens of Russia, who are denying the rights and freedom.
Last night. So tomorrow morning, Brett and I will anchor coverage live of the McCain Memorial at Washington National Cathedral, which gets underway at 9 a.m. tomorrow. But coming up here tonight, next on the story on the rooftop here in Washington, D.C., the life of a college football player ruined after this woman admits that she falsely accused him of rape. She is going to jail. But how does he get his life back now? Joining me live next is this young man. Stay tuned.
Especially for those with a chronic medical condition. That's why there are higher strength flu vaccines made for seniors.
tripped and acted like Ruby's taking me. But that won't happen.
What? Just tell me.
I think Sterling's getting taught by Remy. And look what he had. Well, look what she has. No, Remy didn't get it first. Sterling did.
I just washed those jammies and put them on your bed for you.
Oh, that helped.
Didn't it?
Hey, can I have it? Can I have... Two dogs are doing tug of war versus me. And one of them was definitely losing. The other one, yeah, might be winning. Hey, I like these. I like these. These are my only pair. Thank you. Hey! Son, these are not yours. Not yours.
A promising college football player's life dreams shattered as he was falsely accused of rape. His accuser, 19-year-old Nikki Iovino, told police that she went to a party where two football players forced her to have sex in a bathroom. She later admitted that she had sex willingly and was afraid that if she admitted that, another student wouldn't want to date her. Malik St. Hilaire speaks out here exclusively tonight.
Campus party that Tuesday.
I can't figure out why I can't get the Netflix to work.
I don't know. Oh, this guy's going Battle Royale. Hey! Remy, ow! Ow! Look at this! I want to relax. Now I have a little doggy eating my feeties. It's not fun. It's not fun. What if I eat your feet? No, no, no. You can't touch this. You can't eat this. No.
Yes.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to sign back in.
dahall.2@gmail.com.
I know.
It's barb1211
I
at.
know.
Why are you doing that?
I'm trying to get in. I'm going to get in. Oh, that's... Hold on.
I told you. dahall2.2@gmail.com does not work.
Okay.
What?
Damn it.
I'll put it in. I'll do it.
I'm working on it.
Just give it to me. I can do it way faster. Just give it to me. I'll do it faster.
I got it.
It doesn't seem like you do.
Shut up.
I'll be able to do it. Just let me do it.
I got it.
Okay. Thank you would be nice or something. Maybe.
It's Blade 06, right?
Yeah.
No cap?
No caps. Oh crap. So broadcasting.